So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
Well, listen here.
Hello, and welcome to 90 Day Fiance MK. I'm Mr. O, and today Miss H and I will be discussing Season 1, Episode 22 of The Other Way, which is the second part of the tell-all, Season 3, Episodes 13 and 14 of Before the 90 Days, which is the last episode and the first part of the tell-all. Stay tuned and enjoy.
Hello, Mr. O.
Hello, Miss H.
How are you this week?
Not too bad. How about you? There's a lot to talk about this week.
Oh, there's so much to talk
So
about. So
much.
many things happened. Yeah, it was a very juicy week.
Both on and off the show.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so let's just jump right into our season finale of The Other Way.
Yes.
Which couple do you want to start with?
Let's start with, let's just do Tiffany and Ronald.
Okay, Tiffany and Ronald. So we find out that they haven't applied for the visa yet.
Right. Uh-huh.
And she will never 100% trust him.
That's a lot to say.
I think so too. Like, how could you be married to someone that you already know you're never going to completely trust him?
Exactly. I don't get it. And like, I didn't like how they mentioned the drinking, and it always bugs me when people blame the wrong things they do on drinking. Because a lot of times people drink to do the wrong thing and then say, oh, but I was drunk.
Right.
And it's like, well, that was the whole point. But like the way he immediately was like, nope, I'm done drinking. No more drinking. That struck me as something that was clearly not his idea. And like, so he seems like he's trying to earn this trust that she acknowledges right now he's never going to get.
Yeah, I agree, because he seems to genuinely be upset. He was crying when she said that, you know, and I'm sure that's got to be really difficult to know that your partner will never trust you. I don't even understand how they can stay married, because I mean, everybody, it's like common knowledge, like trust is like the foundation upon strong relationships. So if you don't even have that and you're saying that that can never be, I don't even know what you're doing.
Right. It's almost like, I don't know, it seemed like from this and from Tiffany's, stepping in onto everybody else's conversations, she has kind of a martyr complex where she just really likes her marriage to be the hardest marriage, and mine's so hard and I have to make it, I'm making it work by sheer force of will.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, she even says, that she has the most difficult marriage ever.
Right.
It's like, well, but I kind of feel like it's somewhat self-inflicted.
It is, and it's not like the other people there had serious issues. She's like, your marriage might be hard, but one of these people found out the other person had been married. Like, that's harder than I picked up a guy in rehab and he just got out of rehab.
Yeah. I feel bad for him. It seems like he genuinely wants to be a better man. It really does seem that he really loves her and Daniel and, the baby. And then he's fighting against Tiffany and her mom. Who flat out says, she doesn't like him. Yeah,
so this is one of the stories, and I find this to be a common theme on this tell-all and the other way in general, is they talk about issues without ever explaining what the issues actually are. Like, they kept saying, well, you're never going to be able to make up for the things that you've done. And they never tell us what he's done. Like, from what we've seen on the show, he hasn't done anything since he's been on the show that's worthy of the contempt that they're holding on him.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they're not telling the whole story. And I mentioned last week that she had said some cryptic things on Instagram that could have been interpreted so many different ways, implying that he's messed up since they've been married. But I mean, no one really knows what that is, but it is tough to relate to or understand where Tiffany's coming from when you don't have the whole story, because it does seem like she's being extra hard on him. And I mean, most people who have hope in their relationship will say things like, they have to earn back their trust and things like that, it's optimistic in some way that's saying, yeah, the trust isn't there now, but it can be in the future. And she's basically saying there is no future. I will never 100% trust you.
Right.
Feel bad for the guy a little bit.
I kind of do. Like, yeah, he seems like he's trying so hard, and yeah, they just told him right up front, you can't win. Like,
right.
And like
yeah,
I said, they haven't
time,
applied for the visa. He said it was a money issue.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that they were like, they said it was really going to be hard, and then the lawyer took a look at it, and when the lawyer saw the real case, he thought it would be a lot easier. And all I could think of was when the lawyer saw that he was white, they found out that getting the visa would be a lot easier.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully they're reunited, and hopefully Tiffany will let go of, because like you were saying about their issues, like you don't really know what the issues are. I feel like it's trust issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
But we just, right. The whole story's not there. We just don't know what it is what her reasoning is for not continuing to trust him.
Right. Okay, let's get Jenny and Summit out of the way.
Okay.
They are not my favorite. She is not learning her lesson in this whole deal.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I thought it was interesting that at some point, Shauna was like, does it concern you that he's really good at lying?
Oh, he is. And I mean, we've talked about this. He has been lying to her since day one.
And he's still lying. Like,
he is such a liar.
Totally still full of shit. Like, his story that he's telling, every time he tells stories, they don't add up.
Oh, no, they don't. I liked how Sean definitely called him out and said that, asked him, were you sleeping with your wife, like when Jenny was here? Mm-hmm. And you could tell she did not believe him. No.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand why the wife is still holding on. Like, he's no prize. I don't understand why both of these women, well, maybe Jenny. Mm-hmm. Maybe Jenny feels that she doesn't have any options. But his wife, I don't understand. Your husband clearly isn't into you. Even if he's, he says that his wife knows and he's been telling his wife, but he's a liar. So let's just assume he's lied and he's trying to play both sides and telling his wife that he loves her. The moment you find out that you have a lying, cheating husband that has brought his girlfriend over from another country, like that should tell you everything you need to know. He is no prize. You shouldn't be holding on to him. Just let it go.
Well, yeah. So I had noted that too, because at one point he said that like, his family knew that he was on the show and talking to Jenny, because it was like the first question she asked. And she's like, does your wife know? And he changed his verb. He was like, I informed her. So I was like,
yeah,
that's the different thing to say than she knows, is I informed her. But we talked about how good of a liar he is. I'm 100% sure he is spinning stories for her too. And it's probably sounds pretty good lies to her as well. Like, I don't know. She clearly must have feelings for him, because I don't know that she's getting any money out of it. I mean, is it just money? Is it just to save face and to avoid shame?
Yeah. Okay. So if I were Jenny, and I don't think I'd ever get to the point where I'm Jenny, but let's say for some bizarre reason I woke up and I'm in Jenny's situation. Mm-hmm. I blacked out. I have no idea how I got here, but this is my situation. I would tell Summit, come to the U.S., then you can know for certain that he is not with his wife, that he has very clearly chosen you, and it's like a clean break, and then she doesn't have to go back to India, because, I mean, she said that she's going back to India. It's like, what's wrong with you? That's why I don't think she's learned her lesson.
Right. Well, I mean, talk about somebody that you should never trust 100%. And that's because you couldn't trust him when he's in America, because he could be catfishing some other woman. Like, he started catfishing her. Like, it was already a relationship that started off on such, foggy ground. It's just wacky that she just can't see it.
But her daughter says that she doesn't want to keep bailing her out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this is another case of one of multiple cases in the other way of her daughter supporting her now. She said she's living with her daughter. And like, I would not want to keep bailing her out either.
No. Yeah, and that was my thought, is when she said that she's going to go back to India. With what money? I mean, she says that she's broke, that she spent all of her retirement.
Right, and we're assuming that Sumit is, if his story is correct, if his story is being, what we're hearing spun, they're probably blackmailing him and taking all his money. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Well, it didn't even sound like he was working, because didn't he quit his job to hang out with Jenny all during the day?
That's true. Right. I don't even know.
Yeah. Further proof that I don't think Jenny has learned her lesson is that, when he says he loves her, her face, did you see it, just lit right up?
Right.
Like, I don't think she could have looked any happier. And it's just like, oh my gosh, you're in too deep, girl. Like,
that's 100%
you're going to make
true.
bad decisions. You're going to make bad decisions because you're still in it.
Yeah, she's totally in it. She can't see through the fog, through all the red flags. The red flags are just blinding her vision.
Oh my gosh, so
and she's
terrible.
like, "Isn't this a beautiful red forest?" Like, no.
Right. And then her daughter's wife said, Jen, she thinks it will work out. It's like, oh God, you need to get a different support system too.
Right. But I mean, how many times are you going to tell them it's not going to work out before you just like, all right, fine, I guess it'll be great. Go with it.
I don't know. Maybe I'm stubborn and I hate to be wrong. I would never say that if I didn't truly believe it. All right, moving on. Mm-hmm. Where do you want to go next?
Let's go to Devin and Jihoon.
Oh, you mean Devin and King of Sperm?
And the King of Sperm, exactly.
Oh, yes. Yes, because he has super sperm.
He has super sperm. I mean, it's hard to argue with it.
Yeah, but he's kind of a liar. So who knows? Maybe he's not.
Right. Well, he's a deadbeat.
Yeah.
Like, and as cute as he is and as charming as he is, like, he did the same thing again. And she's like, I'm coming back. And he's like, apartments? I didn't do that.
Well, it kind of made it sound like he said there was an apartment, and then so she books the flight, and then he's like, oh, no, there wasn't.
Which is the same thing that happened the first time. She got to South Korea expecting that they had a place.
I think that's why she says that he knows more English than he lets on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I feel like he tells her these things and then pretends he doesn't know.
What? I didn't understand. We've all known somebody like that. So
I kind of felt bad for Devin, and I blame Jihoon for this because Sean asks Jihoon if his parents like Devin. And so he says, his dad likes her, but his mom doesn't like her. And I just feel like I understand that he's being honest, and I guess, this is a tell-all.
Right.
But at the same time, those are things that you can't really recover from very easily, and it's better just kept to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's the weirdest part about that is it's totally not unusual for a daughter-in-law to not live up to the mother-in-law standards.
Right. I was going to say that's a mom thing. It's not even like a Korean mom thing. It's like any mom thing.
That's just an any mom thing. The weird part about it was that Devin had no idea. Usually it's pretty obvious.
Right.
And the wife knows it pretty well. It was that it kind of came out of nowhere, and she was like, but I thought your mom liked me. That was like, I don't know. Or is that another case of somebody else who just is not good at seeing things, hence her being on the Terrible Life Choices show.
Right. So I definitely related to this quite a bit. I was in an interracial relationship, when I was in college, and I was with my college boyfriend for 5 years. And after we broke up, it had come out afterwards. And I mean, she was a very, very nice lady to me. She was always really, really sweet to me. I had no idea that she didn't like me. And it ends up that she didn't like me, and primarily because she didn't like that I was a different race, because she wanted to have white babies.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so it's like, well, I'm glad I found out after we broke up, but at the same time, like, I definitely can relate to Devin in this relationship because, it's especially difficult that Jihoon said that the reason why his mom doesn't like her is because she's not Korean. There is nothing she can do about that.
Right. Yeah.
The other stuff about her being like cutesy and like, talkative. I mean, that's something she can work on, but you can't change your race.
Right.
So she's always going to have that doubt in the back of her mind, even when his mom is very nice to her and grows to love her, accept her as part of the family. She's always going to wonder, if the mom is wanting him to be with someone else.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I felt of all the big, spill secrets that came out, that one was I don't know. It's a personally damaging one, but it wasn't really exciting.
Right. As an audience person, you're kind of whatever. Mom doesn't like you. That's just assumed.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I felt bad for her because she feels that Ji-hoon isn't standing up for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then in my notes, I wrote, Paul relates to Ji-hoon for hiding things. I was like, if Paul is on your side, that is a red flag that you are not doing well in life.
Well, right. Of course, when everybody else was but he committed a crime, Paul was like, hold on a second. Wait, do we really want to hold him?
I can understand.
Do we really want to hold that over his head?
Yeah, I can understand. You don't want to lose your love. It's like, oh God, Paul relates to you. This is not good. Oh goodness. All right. Speaking of Paul, I kind of felt like his clips or his segments was very anti-Karini in a lot of ways. And I kind of felt bad that she wasn't there to defend herself or for it to look highlight at all that Paul is also equally a weirdo and does not have his life together.
Right. Yeah. So I thought it was and everybody else is analyzing the other people's relationships.
Oh
gosh, they can see things so much clearer, and you're like, but you said that. Corey talks about that. Oh, I don't know. It seems like she's talking to other men a lot. It's like, but you
you're not. Evelyn is sleeping with other men a lot.
Right.
So on the spectrum of bad things.
Right, and we're still not really clear on how she's getting money from men that just.
I don't really. Yeah, they never make it very clear. I guess I just always assumed that she was talking to guys in kind of a Maria Caesar situation, doesn't actually have to meet them, doesn't actually have to do anything, possibly leads them on, not necessarily thinking that they're in a relationship, but, reaching out and saying oh, I'm in trouble, I need help. And then I don't know. Some guys are particularly stupid, Caesar, and they'll just randomly send money to people. So,
I guess so. I guess so. I don't know.
Well, you as a person of somewhat intelligence would know not to send money to strangers.
Right. Because my thoughts were, a little more in the gutter. It's is she camgirling for these guys? What is she doing that they're just sending money?
Yeah, I mean, people have theories about that. And I mean, it's a possibility. I am not saying that everything is innocent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the whole story. It's very, very possible. I mean, but she's been pregnant for a while.
Some guys are into that.
Thing, though.
Some guys are into that.
Yeah. I won't pretend to understand. But Laura, she says it's not normal.
Yeah. Again, everyone else is clear-eyed without everybody else's relationship.
Oh, Laura, get out of here.
I know.
Paul's mom is, once again, the voice of reason. However, I don't think she's always the voice of reason because she admits that she's still supporting him.
Mm-hmm. And not just helping him out, 100% supporting him. But I mean, assume besides the show money and the cameo money that they make, supporting him completely.
Well, it's because she understands Paul has a hard time getting a job because he has a record and a gap in employment.
And he doesn't speak the language.
Oh my gosh.
Even when they come back to the U.S., and back in the U.S., he can't get a job. Yeah.
Right. It's just, it doesn't matter. I feel like everybody's just making excuses. I mean, how do people that are released from jail with worse offenses than Paul, how do they integrate back into society? They have to get a job, right? So, I mean, it is possible to be employed with a record.
So, what does his mom do? I mean, is she just paying out of her, pension? Because, I don't know. That's what if I'm a person, and I'm going to help my kids out if they get into trouble, I'm not going to give them money. I'm going to be like, hey, I have this I can get you a job. Let's do that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is I thought I don't remember exactly, but I thought that his parents owned a company. And so he at one point had worked for his parents. So I don't know why that's not an option anymore. Maybe they retired and sold the company. Maybe that isn't an option, but yeah. That's how he was able to be employed before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wrote on my notes here, cameos for life, because it doesn't seem like either of them are making any moves towards gainful employment anytime soon.
Getting those $50 cameos. Get them while they last.
Oh, goodness. Yes. So I guess it leaves us with Laura and Aladdin? Are they the last ones on the other way?
Yes, they are.
Oh, and there was a lot.
A whole lot.
So much. So much.
All right, so let's start with what happened on the show.
Yes.
And then we'll move on from there.
Right. He definitely had like a grumpy disposition the whole time. He said he felt disrespected and he just wants a divorce and seemed very short and, just frustrated. I think that's the best word to kind of describe. He just seemed really frustrated.
Right. And that was another one where the entire time he kept saying he felt disrespected and it was bullshit.
Yes.
He said those things a lot, but never was given the time or the ability to actually articulate how he was being disrespected and how it was bullshit.
Right.
Like, everybody was just jumping down his throat. Like, but you just married her. You married her. This is what you got into, which is...
Oh, yeah. And everybody got in on it. You had Ludwig, you had Liam, you had Corey, you had, like, the whole cast was just jumping on Alan. And I mean, we'll talk about this after, but I did kind of feel for the guy. It's like him versus everybody else, it felt like.
Right. And it was like, I don't know. And they really jumped in. Like, they're like, love is about... and it is to an extent about sticking through thick and thin and being hard. It is not about staying with someone who defrauded you.
Right.
And like that, like, well, no matter what you find out, that's about love is sticking it out. It's like, no, that's not what love is.
No. And then Corey just pissed me off, especially in the segment. The way that he was trying to Dr. Phil him. I want you to be honest with me right now. And like, pointing fingers, like, who are you, Corey? Stay in your lane. My God.
Right. I don't get why so many of them do that. Stay in your lane is a big thing.
I feel like this is one of the first tell-alls that I can remember where it's been multiple people chiming in. Like, usually you have one person and then everybody kind of collectively goes, hates that person because they're like chiming in on everything. And it's just like one. But this time, it just seems like all around, everybody was just all up in each other's business, which made no sense to me.
So then they brought on Liam.
Oh, gosh.
Who was so high.
Is that your explanation about how...
He was toasted. He was totally...
Oh, my goodness.
He couldn't focus. He barely answered any questions, and he couldn't stop laughing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The dude
was...
Yeah,
he's definitely laughing. It was all around a shit show over at Liam's house, though, because with the dogs barking,
were there. He couldn't lock the door for the dogs.
Right.
That's my working theory is he was just really, really high.
That makes sense. Yeah, it does make sense, because I was just like, why is he uncontrollably laughing? Why is it so chaotic over there? The audio was also particularly terrible, so it just made everything sound so much louder. And you would think production would have some control over things like that.
I was, by and large, between this tell-all and the other tell-all, really surprised at the low video quality across the board.
Oh, okay. So I'll mention this now. The other the other tell-all for the Before the 90 Days, I did not understand why they took time to like keep the video on people as they're getting up from the couch. I saw a boob shot from Rebecca. I saw a crotch shot from Ronald and Zied. And it's like, why are you showing us this? Cut that shit out. We don't need to see crotches and boobs. What is this?
Yeah, so Liam had that. And the other thing that drove me nuts about Liam, I couldn't stop looking at it. We brought this up because I'm a guy and I shave. That shaving job that he did.
Oh, yeah. I did notice that.
He had like 2 patches under his
Yes, I
chin
noticed
that
it
were
was very
separate.
patchy.
I was like, what are
Yeah.
you doing, man?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. But you're also talking to the guy who thinks, capes and cowboy hats and camel tooth necklaces.
Right. That's
and
true.
flamingo shirts.
That's true.
Like, does it surprise you?
Mm-mm. He has a Jaguars tattoo. So, like Jacksonville Jaguars
goodness.
football team.
Yeah. So Ludwig comes in. He didn't really contribute much.
Mm-mm.
He just said it wasn't a good match. He didn't have a cooking segment on it, like with his weirdo sandwich. So, that was pretty much it. Is everybody in the family kind of saying that, it wasn't a good match. Laura needs to make better decisions. And it really annoys me that she keeps on saying things like, I deserve a good man. It's like, do you?
Do you?
Do you?
Yeah.
Because it kind of seems like you're a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And a good man isn't going to put up with that.
Right. Well, it also seems like she doesn't want to put in her end of the work to get a good man.
Right,
Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so I think that's everything that happened on the tell-all, right?
That's what happened on the show. Yes.
Yes.
But then-
And then Aladdin's tell-all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was so good.
Right, right. So this was on, in case anybody missed it, this was on Instagram on what, Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
After
it was
the
like
tell-all had aired.
Right.
It was,
right.
I think, he put out, what's that, 30 Instagram
a
videos?
series. Yeah.
I think it was 30.
A series.
And it was like all these videos that were just text. There wasn't actual videos from an interpreter telling his side of the story.
Which I thought was really interesting that he had gotten a translator to do this for him, because I was going to say they were very well written. It was very descriptive. And then in one of the videos that he released, he said that part of the issue why he felt a need to have to explain himself on Instagram was because everything was happening so fast and English isn't his primary language that, he felt at the tell-all probably what it looked like frustrated because either he wasn't processing things quickly enough to respond to it, or, he couldn't think of what to say like in that moment.
Right. So the gist of his whole argument was basically that Laura's full of shit, but in all kinds of interesting ways, which isn't surprising. We've seen Laura's behavior, while the show's been raining, and it's very consistent with the way she's been behaving since the show has ended.
Oh, it was 100% believable. He backed up everything with like facts that make sense if you just know how things work, like pensions. Saying like, okay, she's in she's 51, I think, 54, somewhere in her low 50s. But if she's been collecting a pension for 5 years, like who's getting a pension at under 50? That's like a legit thing that I didn't think about like immediately when she said this. So it's one of those things where he backed everything up with very, very believable facts or information that it's like when he tells it, it's like, yes, everything makes sense. Whereas when Laura tells her story, you're like, wait, what are you talking about? You're talking about you were paying rent for what? It just, you don't always get the general idea of what's going on when she tells things, but his tell-all, it was like you had a very clear picture about what was going on.
Well, the pension thing was interesting because one of his posts wasn't just about the pension. She also said she was 40.
Oh yeah, when he catfished her, sure.
Yeah, and it was like he was like, I was catfished. I think that's pretty much how it started. Was his first post was I was catfished.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
and it was funny because she like lied about it when she's like, when she got the passport, she lied about it.
Yeah.
She's like, my birth certificate was wrong, and it's just not a thing. And so it very much goes with, you can usually tell when people are lying. People try to tell people are lying based on how their emotions and their demeanor when they talk, but more often than not, you can just say, does that story make any sense at all? And it's like, no, it doesn't make any sense that you'd have a passport that was wrong for your entire life. And you just we're like, oh, well, whatever. My birth certificate was wrong.
Yeah, that makes no sense. Why would that ever happen? So another thing that came out during his tell-all was the fact that things were reenacted, like the bonus wine scene from earlier this season
Right,
where Laura was making wine. So he was telling the story that that really had happened, and that the wine had exploded in the closet and got wine all over his clothes. So it wasn't for real when it was taped, but that was a story that had really happened.
Right, but that's also something where they made him sound like a bad guy because he was like, oh, in my culture, it's the wine, and you can't do such a terrible thing, where he was really pissed off that she ruined all of his clothes by blowing up alcohol in his closet, which I would be mad about too.
Yeah, true. I would definitely be not happy about that. So he then also talks about, she's bad at money, and then specifically that he had sent her money to pay for his visa, and then she never spent the money on it and never applied for the visa.
Right, because, I don't know, he didn't even know she was a Canadian, I think. Like, he was totally lost about the whole immigration process and getting to U.S. or Canada or anywhere.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, but, it has come out since the season's been over. She's definitely lost her marbles. She's definitely gone off on the deep end. So she's been also posting things, trying to make it look like her and Raul are a legitimate couple.
Oh, I saw pictures with her with Raul. I didn't know that she was trying to pass those off as, like, their couple.
Yeah. So she's been saying very vague things. I guess she took a still from, they had done like an Instagram live possibly, where he was like kissing her cheek, or maybe he was like legitimately giving her a kiss, but definitely the angle looked like they were making out, and
well, she's really good
saying
with
all
the
these
angles,
cryptic things. Yeah, that's true.
With the picture angles. She had that one where she like had her collar up to block all of her double chins. And,
yeah.
And what is, I guess, is it Facetune? What are they using to make like her and Rebecca, like, just for their pictures that look like nothing like them?
There's a lot of mostly Asian apps that have a lot of it like makes your skin tone all one color. It'll like make your eyes bigger.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of, it can like shave down like your chin. So maybe even get rid of some of your double chins.
Right.
So,
it takes away all the wrinkles, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So I think that's it for The Other Way.
I think so.
So then we have Before the 90 Days, and we had a combined episode, one of them wrapping things up, and then the other half with the tell-all, which once again was a tell very little, because even the stuff that they teased didn't even go down yet.
So much of a tell-all is just replaying stuff I've already seen.
I feel like that in general is this whole show, which is why I think everyone was extra shocked when they saw Maria on screen, because this is definitely, I know, this is not a Sharp Entertainment MO, because they usually will take the highlights from the season and from day one, constantly replay these clips. So by the time it actually happens, you've at least seen it 8 times.
Right.
Either in a coming up, next time, and then even after it happens, you hear, last time. I was just like, oh my gosh, why do I have to watch this clip over and over again?
And then somebody mentions it and they do it like it's a flashback and they show it again and again and again and again. Right. So, so let's just start there, because that was the shocker.
It was a shocker.
Right?
You should have seen my jaw. I was like, oh my gosh, she's real. It was the first thing I thought. And 2, the second thing I thought was they kept it a secret.
Right.
This is amazing.
Which is, I don't know. We kept asking every week, why is this motherfucker on there? Why is Caesar on here?
Yeah.
Why is Caesar on here?
Yeah.
God damn it, Caesar, get off my screen. And they were holding it for this. They went a different way. They zig. I wrote, oh shit, Maria in all caps. Like,
oh yeah, me too. I wrote, Maria is real! ! Okay, so I agree that it was like lead up to it. However, I don't think they needed a whole season of this.
No.
Like, if they just had them at the beginning, for a couple episodes, or maybe even drop in midway through. Like, we didn't need to see at least 4 of those episodes of him being
sad
and ridiculous.
Right. I agree with that.
don't think he was actually ever that sad. He was just more like
No.
hopelessly optimistically terrible.
Yeah, I guess I meant sad as in pathetic and not sad as in depressed.
Okay, sure. Definitely sad and pathetic. I agree with you there.
But
I even wrote in my notes, Caesar, want to punch him in the face with his goofy smile, saying it's like having a new toy at Christmas.
oh my God.
Yes.
Well, I mean, and so that makes him an asshole too. Like, even if she was real and really into him, he is like very shallow about what it is he wants or likes from her. So I'm gonna back up and talk about my thing, because the big thing I seem to see on the internet everywhere was, oh my God, Maria's real. Right?
Yes.
I didn't not think she was real. I thought she was like almost exactly like she is. It's a real person that just scams people. Like, because I had assumed they had talked on like FaceTime and stuff. He had seen her, like,
right,
person. Like, it wasn't like, I think a lot of people thought maybe it was, some big fat dude who found pictures of a good-looking woman on the internet and catfished this dude. I thought she was real, but I thought like she has like 5 Caesars. Like, she's just playing a bunch of people and getting money.
I definitely thought the same as well.
But
yeah.
And just he tries...
I mean, and she admitted to it too.
Oh yeah. I mean, she kind of did and kind of didn't.
Yes. She was she implied very much, but didn't exactly
They were
say.
like, do you really have feelings for Caesar? And she was like, She was like,
oh gosh.
So, Anastasia date? That sounds really creepy.
Well, I think he was even talking about it at the beginning. Like, it does not sound like your typical dating site.
Oh no, you're deep. You're deep in the hole. You've gone through a bunch of dating sites already when you get there.
But I kind of feel like it's gotta be more of like a sugar daddy website, because I mean the whole infrastructure of it is that you're paying for these gifts and you're paying to send messages. And so I feel like if you're doing something like that, it's like a sugar daddy website. But Caesar is the farthest thing from a sugar daddy.
And she says that too. She's like, talks about the money, and she's like, he's a guy that does nails. Like, he doesn't have that much money. Come on.
Yeah.
He's just an easy
Actually,
one to
that
get
kind
out
of reminds me. Yeah, that kind of reminds me of I had the friend, and she had this like weird meth boyfriend or whatever, and when he was high, he would like go on the sugar daddy website and like pose as a sugar daddy and meet these girls. And it's like, how could you not tell within 2 seconds of meeting this guy that he's not a sugar daddy? He's rolling around in a beat up like 90s Corolla, like
tweaking out at you. Like,
yes. It's like I don't get it. But I mean, there are no real checks to make sure that these people legitimately have money, so anyone can go on to any of these things and pose as
well. The other thing
daddies.
too is people who have money don't have money because they waste it on stuff.
Right.
Like, you want somebody who's loose with money, not necessarily somebody who has a lot of it. As long as they have enough of it to give over to you, that's fine. But okay, so side note on Caesar. Someone needs to work on his sunglasses game.
Oh my gosh, his fashion in general, his jean jacket, his sunglasses. Did you see his itty bitty tie when he opened up his jacket?
Yeah,
and his
like
tie was like
it was like the inverted Trump, like
right
it was
by
like
his
way,
rib cage,
way up
it's like,
here.
What are you? Oh my goodness!
But I put down at some point he is about 1/4 of as cool as he thinks he is.
Yeah, true. It must be such a slap in the face when he's going to see that she says, I travel a lot. It's like, yep, but you can't seem to travel where Caesar is.
Didn't go to Mexico. Went to Dubai. And she was like, and I was with a guy in Dubai. Didn't go to Mexico.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, it's kind of like, I'm sure she's not the one paying for her travels.
Oh, no.
But he is definitely not the only one.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it was like, I could go to Cancun. I have a choice to go to Cancun with Dumpy Caesar, or I could go to Dubai with somebody I'd rather go to Dubai with, which is probably a pretty big list. Yeah.
And I think it's also so sad. Like, I wonder, well, I mean, we've all kind of recognized it's mostly fake, but she says that she's not even physically attracted to him, that he's not her type. She's into tall, blonde hair, blue-eyed men.
Right. I'm sure
Caesar is none of these things. Well, maybe he's tall. I can't really.
He is not tall. Like, I had seen that on Instagram, like, right before we started taping. He put
Yeah.
a picture up with him and two women, and he is, like, almost a head shorter than both of the women.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that takes me back to my original theory that really she is into Hot Jeremy. And she just must have seen a picture of Caesar and Hot Jeremy together, and that's what she was into.
I could see it.
Because
she could.
Hot Jeremy is her type. Everything she described, Hot Jeremy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is. It is. And she's just going to get over here and cheat on him the whole time.
With Hot Jeremy.
I think Jeremy's
cool
a
better
enough.
friend.
I don't think Jeremy
he
would do
wouldn't
that.
do that to Caesar.
Yeah.
Nah. I wonder if Hot Jeremy has money because she says she needs a man with more money.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
So I don't know. Oh, so then at the tell-all, he didn't really have much except for answering a question about taking it slow. And then it's like, really? You're taking it slow? I think even Tim called him out. Like, you have chocolate panties. Like,
right. Well, okay.
How slow are we taking this?
So I'll bring this up now because I had written this down. Tim asked Tim about getting intimate, and he said, "Do you mean like intercourse?" Which I thought at the time he said that was the least sexy way you could talk about sex. But then Caesar said, "Hammer time." And he won. Because
so gross.
So gross, right?
I didn't write that down, but yeah, I'm sure I laughed at it.
And that's the thing is, okay, every woman I've ever talked to, when they say what they don't want from sex is, I don't want to just jackhammer, right? That's like,
jackhammer.
Don't do that.
Yeah, jackrabbit, jackhammer sex. Yeah, nobody wants that. Oh, gross. All right, so let's go ahead and move on from Caesar.
I have Avery and Omar next.
Okay. So Omar and Avery gets around to telling Omar over video chat that the visa is very unlikely. And so then she says, oh, do you think you can wait for years if we can't be together? And he says, oh, I don't know. And yeah, and so she gets upset because there's now doubt in their relationship. There's uncertainty.
The whole thing was clearly a conversation that should have happened before she came to Lebanon.
Yeah. I mean, this, like I said, this is no news to anyone except for Avery.
Right. Well, apparently Omar too, because he was like, oh, you mean I can't come? Like, there's no way people in Syria who are thinking about going to the U.S. don't know about the travel ban. There's no way.
Right. But I think they were depending on the waiver, and so maybe he just didn't know enough about...
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
Nobody gets those waivers. Like, translators get those waivers. Like, people who help the U.S. Army find ISIS get those waivers. Like, not just like, oh, you're a dentist? Oh, okay. Here's a waiver.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, okay, but in his defense, I feel like some things are just difficult to find if that's not your home country. Like, I remember looking for Ecuador when I was doing some research about Corey's visa. I was like, what kind of visa options are there in Ecuador? And it was like very difficult for me as an American on American websites trying to find what Ecuador's visa policy is, because I'm sure there are websites that would really only come up like if you're in Ecuador.
Sure.
And then also the language barrier. I'm like, okay, I know some Spanish, but I'm not going to be able to translate these words. I guess I could have Google translate it for me, but
well, I also feel like there's no way he doesn't know anybody that left the country. Like, after all the refugee crisis and everything, like, people left, and like they had to talk about how do you get out and where can you go and things like that. Like, and relatedly, they kind of seem to be making the same mistake over again. They're both like, well, where would you want to go? And they're like, well, we could go to Dubai. Why do they think they can get into Dubai? Can they get into Dubai? They both are just like assuming again, oh, we'll just get a visa in Dubai. Like, will you?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there are definitely some countries that are like refugee friendly. And my impression was that Dubai was one of those countries. So maybe he knows a little bit more about that. Because once again, like if he has friends or anyone he knows that have left the country. Maybe he knows a lot of people who've left the country there. And so, he thinks of that as a more viable option.
I mean, I agree that it's more viable because the U.S. is basically a pipe dream. But I don't know. It's just based on both of their conversation before that. It's like they hadn't really investigated the U.S. visa. So I don't know that they investigated any other visas either.
Yeah. Okay, so that was their episode, and then we have the tell-all. Terry, Mama Avery, has lost a lot of weight.
A lot of weight.
Yeah, she looked good. She also seems to have been doing her research because she seemed way more knowledgeable about the process.
Way more well-versed.
Right. So, I mean, I think that's like very nice of her as a mom to do the research for Avery instead of just, I mean, she shouldn't have to do it for her, really. But, I mean, the fact that Avery hasn't done it, Mama Terry definitely has kind of stepped in because she wants to be knowledgeable about the process.
And it's like, I don't know. And that was one of those things where, I don't know, in a way, part of the reason Avery and Omar get along so well is because they both seem to be naive in similar ways. Like, she's like, well, there's checkpoints and, they're going to and they're certainly, if it's the wrong checkpoint and somebody sees an American, like, at the checkpoint, that's money there for them. They're that's a real good opportunity for them. And Omar's just like, well, I won't let that happen. It's like, Omar, man, you are not stopping the armed dude at the checkpoint. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
What do you think you're going to do?
I don't know. Fix his teeth. Everybody needs dental care. And then why was Tom butting in on their segment?
I don't know. Yeah. He was. And especially because he was like, we're going to go somewhere where you don't speak the where have you been, Tom?
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
It's like, that's going to be the hard part. It's like, are you speaking from experience? Because I don't think you are.
Yeah. I feel like you still live in your parents' house. Like, what do you know about living anywhere? Oh, goodness, Tom. Gross. Well, do you want to move on to Tom then?
Yeah, let's move on to Tom.
They had a very up and down situation.
Right.
So I'm still confused. Are they together? I was just really unsure how they left it.
Yeah, it was very, I wasn't sure either. So I was like, was that a breakup? Did he just break up with her? I couldn't tell. Now, how long did she say she had been back?
Okay, so that's a very good question because I did have a note here that when she video chatted him, he looked like he had lost weight.
Yeah.
He did not look as chubby in the face. And at first I was like, man, he's working those angles again. But then you see him on the tell-all and he looks about as slim as he did on the video chat. And so it did make me kind of feel like more time had gone by. Also, her lips looked different.
Oh, you think she got more work?
They looked more natural like during the season. And then, but I mean, that's like what, a day it could look like that.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like some time had gone by. I thought it was funny when she was preparing for her video chat date that she's like spraying perfume everywhere again. It's like, he can't smell you through the phone.
I thought the same thing. I was like, I thought it was weird because I was like, why are her tits out at home? Like, she was like getting pajamas on. I was like, why are your boobs hanging out? And then I was like, oh, and then she picked up, and then she picked up the phone. I was like, oh, she's trying to do that thing where she like, puts the makeup on just right. It's like, oh, I just was in bed.
I just woke up like
this.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so did you notice when she was on the video chat, and I couldn't figure out why she did this, she kept her thumb over her picture. Like the picture-in-picture on the phone.
Oh.
Like where she was, her thumb was on it the whole time, and it kept moving around. Like her thumb would be on the top of the frame. I had no idea. And then it was in the middle, and then it was like on the other side of the picture. And it was really disorienting to me because it was supposed to be, it really took off the continuity because her thumb kept moving around the screen. But she didn't change her grip.
That's so weird. I don't know why she would do that. No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
That is odd. I can't think of any reason other than she hates herself that much and she can't bear to look at herself.
Right.
Yeah, right. Let's look at her Instagram. It's like full of selfies.
Yeah, it's just
so
all
obviously
selfies.
That's not true. Yeah. So she, backing up a little bit, when she was on her ride home with Stacy, she met up with Stacy at the airport because Stacy was coming back from Albania. they're kind of talking about it. I thought it was nice that Darcy admitted that everything was not Stacy's fault.
Uh-huh.
But then Darcy says that she would never demand for a proposal. She's not desperate. And it's like, okay, yes, but you mention it all the time. How is that not the same?
Yeah,
That's
I don't
desperate
demand it.
too.
I just drop hints constantly and consistently.
Oh, gosh.
Right? Well, I mean,
yes.
even the stupid little sniping, they snipe each other and it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Yeah.
she got home and she's like, oh, I spent 15 hours, like Stacy said, oh, I spent 15 hours flying from
Yeah.
Albania. And Darcy was like, oh, it wasn't nonstop? Like,
I know. This isn't... Yeah, good luck trying to get a nonstop to Albania. Yeah, but at the same time, nonstop to London, pretty easy from New York, which I think is where they were.
yeah, they were in New York.
flying out
Yeah,
of.
it was I think it was JFK.
Yeah,
Because they
so
were
it's
driving
like,
to
all
Connecticut.
right. Everything is not a competition. My God.
Right?
So then Tom does seem to break up with her.
Mm-hmm.
He tells her that, he has to be by himself right now. He doesn't have the time to devote to giving her what she needs.
Right.
And there were a couple things. Oh, one quick note is I thought he looked like Larissa's most recent ex in the video chat. I was like, because I don't find him particularly attractive either. But I was just like, well, maybe, I don't know.
He
Maybe
did have that thing where,
should be...
even in a video chat, he was like, from like Zoolander, Blue Steel, like he was...
Yeah. Yes, smolder.
Yeah, he was like
I just need to
smoldering
smolder.
at you.
Yeah.
Like, I have to hold this pose. Like, and it was definitely that up and to the left thing. Like, he wasn't holding it at eye level.
right.
He was like holding it up a little
Right.
bit to do, get rid of the double chin and everything. Like, he was clearly thinking that through.
Yeah. But it really made me feel sad for Darcy because after she gets off the phone with him and she's kind of talking to the producer, I guess, she says, I don't know what I did for him not to love me. And it's just like, oh my God, you have the lowest self-esteem. Like, do you not see that this guy is just not a decent guy?
Right.
It really, at least in this case, there's nothing you could have done to make him love you, and it's not because you're a terrible person.
Right. Everybody who knew Tom told her that. Like, Tom's sister was like, yeah, he's not going to settle down with anybody. Like, that's not going to happen.
Right.
He's not going to fall in love with anybody. That's not going to And his friend was like, yeah, Tom's not going to settle down and fall in love with anybody. That's not
Right.
Tom's style.
Oh, and it just made me feel so bad for her because she was completely blaming herself. Like there was something preventable she could have done to make him stay with her. And it's just like, I don't know. She just needs to get to a point where she realizes, yes, there are things that she can work on. Yeah. But at the same time, just because a relationship doesn't work out, it doesn't mean it's because she's a terrible person.
Or even not a good enough person. Or even not an awesome
Yeah.
person. Like, people just don't get along. It happens.
Right. And it's nothing to do with you. And honestly, it's like she's building him up like he's this perfect man. It's like, Tom is not that great.
He really isn't.
There are other men out there better than Tom. Like, get upset that they don't like you, not Tom.
Right. Oh.
Yeah.
All right. So then Emma shows up in the
tell-all.
Really in the tell-all, right? We get to the tell-all.
Yes.
And I think that's pretty
Yes.
much the first things they got to them was they just sprung Emma on them.
Yep, threw in Emma. She looks so much better without her glasses.
Right. But still, I can't. Come on. Sharp Money has to have some money. Can you please get a better remote connection?
Yeah.
In England. It's not like they were like I
Yeah.
gave it a break when it was like South Africa and like,
Right,
Kenya.
and
but it was
Wi-Fi
like,
isn't so strong.
She was in
Sure.
England.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one thing that drove me nuts about Emma specifically, adults don't have favorite colors. It's so weird that she was like, well, you don't know it. I don't know my favorite color. And she's like, well, how could you be with someone you don't even know their favorite color? And I'm like, I kind of like blue.
Yeah.
But I like red stuff
Okay,
too.
Sure. I understand what you're saying about the favorite color, but she brings up a really good
yeah,
point
that's
because
true.
I feel like they had not had any kind of deep conversation. The deep conversations they were having were things like, well, when do you want to get married? Do you want to have any children? And I mean, that really doesn't, that says that your values are aligned, but it really doesn't let you know who they are as a person. And I don't think she thinks about that. Darcy is very like self-centered that way, and she kind of thinks about everyone in the context of how they can fit in her life.
Right.
Do your values line up with mine so you can fit in my life? Not, okay, I like you for your interests or the kinds of conversations we can have. Because what happens when you finally get married and have the kids? You have nothing more to talk about. And maybe that's why she ended up getting divorced to her ex-husband, because it's like at that point, like you've already done all these things that you've been talking about. What else is there?
Right. Yeah, she seems to have a singular goal for her life. And then again, what's after that? What's after you get married? Okay, you get married next year. Then what?
Yeah.
Right. And that's more like I wanted her to say, not focus on favorite colors, but like, what are your dreams? What are your fears? What are your life goals? Not like those are much more in tune with the kind of conversations you need to have to kind of like decide someone's your soulmate, and not just like, his tie was nice.
Actually. Yeah, I know, right? It's actually interesting. I can't remember where exactly I heard this, but they said that part of the reason why the first year of marriage is especially difficult for people is because there's like this expectation that things should be different. And then there is no like future goal, It's like as a couple, if you think about the milestones, you're kind of at the last milestone as a couple, like having kids and, building a family is like a different kind of milestone. But like as a couple, like you're at the end. And so then it's kind of this whole, well, now what? And so I think people struggle with that. And so that's this research they show. Like,
and I can especially believe that for people who aren't interested in having kids like right away. So if you are interested in having kids right away, then that automatically becomes your like next
goal.
Goal. But like if you're like, no, we're not ready, we're gonna wait, and they kind of like, there's nothing. You're not there working for anything.
Yeah. So something to consider, especially because I think Darcy, she's had her kids. I don't know if she's really eager to have more kids.
Yeah, I couldn't see that. Because that doesn't seem to be in her plans. Like, she doesn't talk about that. She talks about getting married constantly, but she never talks about having more kids.
Yeah. So then there's Jessie. Darcy does know that Jessie will be there.
Oh, she's psyching herself up. Like, I'm so much stronger now. Like, you know what? That's not something strong people say.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like on Friends. Like, if you have to say you're breezy, then you're not breezy.
Right.
Oh, goodness. Well, okay. I feel bad for her because Jesse, he's such a tool. Everything is about him. He's on this.
Everyone was asking what Jesse was up to. I come to the show because everyone wants to know Jesse. Who knows what Jesse is up to?
Everything is about him. Everybody wants an update on my life. Everybody needs to know. I need to give the people what they want.
Yes, that's what I'm here for. I am just giving them what they want.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Nobody
Go
cares
away, Jesse.
What Jesse does.
I know. Well, his latest thing on his Instagram is that now he's a psychologist. It's like, heaven help us all.
That's the worst.
Well, it's different there in his country. He says that he is a psychologist, like with basically the equivalent of a bachelor's degree. So in other countries, I mean, I can kind of see how that is, right? But here it's a little bit different because we have like licensing. Like you can't just be a psychologist without getting like board certified or something like that. So
right. And is there anyone more annoying than somebody who just came home from college and took their first psych class and starts fake psychoanalyzing everything everybody does? Oh.
Yeah, he's like, I know why Darcy is the way that she is.
Yeah, he's a tool. He's a douche. But we get more of him next week, and we get to see more of Angela defending him.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone else is bullying him.
Yeah, okay, well, I can kind of understand because Jesse's been on the show, so he's met all the people that have previously been on, which would be basically Angela. And so, I don't know, Angela kind of seems like one of those loyal ride or die bitches, so I can see her just because she's met him before, like, trying to defend him.
he was clearly brought on the show for one reason only, and that's to antagonize Darcy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no one... Yeah, did the producers really think we all care? We need a Jesse update that badly?
Right,
Yeah.
but Angela's a bully too. And so she really feels camaraderie and kinship with the fellow bully and is like, you all are treating this guy unfairly.
Yeah.
So I can see it. I can see why, but
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we'll have to wait to see the real drama because, I think the tell-all second part is weirdly on tonight.
It is, and I think it's like 3 hours long.
Oh my God.
I know.
Thank God
I'm not
we
watching
have
it
a
all
week.
tonight.
Thank God we have a week to watch it. If it was we have to recap it today, that's just too much. It's too much.
It's gonna be like 20 minutes worth of content. They stretch out over 3 hours. I know it.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Okay. So next up, do you want to talk about Angela and Michael?
And we just talked about Angela, so sure.
So there really wasn't much in the actual show. They just showed Michael's America shirt. Then Angela asks if Michael will miss her boobs. And you know what it reminded me of? Do you remember, Mr. O, when I sent you that Angela picture a couple weeks ago over text message?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to post that on our Instagram.
There is. And she said that. She said, you're going to miss my boobs. And
yeah.
God help me. There is no way her boobs look good. They have to hang down to her knees. Like, there's no way. They are even moderately okay boobs at this point.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. So you'll have to check out our Instagram picture.
However, we do know more about her boobs is that they're full of shit.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Because she carries shit in her tit.
Oh, goodness. I couldn't even tell what kind of shirt that was. It looked like an apron. I was like, what is happening?
Like, carry a purse, lady. Like, what are you doing?
Yes!
It has to be easier.
Why don't you carry a purse? A tote bag, since you talk about toting stuff all the time.
Tote it.
Yes.
She's going to tote it in her tits. The funniest reaction was, who was it? Was it Avery and Tim that were sitting there? She told that too, and they were both just like, uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Right.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Yeah, so in the tell-all, that was basically it. They didn't have a whole lot this week.
No, they didn't. I did mention this because it was something she told me. She got on the airplane and came back from Nigeria and told him not to fuck up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things she mentioned was she told him that he needed to stop following women on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a really big ask. And I don't know, you can't not follow any women at all. That's weird. I think she means don't follow random women that I don't know. I think if you wanted to I don't know, follow
his sister.
Serena Williams, it'd be okay, I guess. But I don't know. It's just, that's just so cringy. It's that's what she does. She spends time on his Instagram, on his follower list. Do I know them? Do I know them? Do I know them? Do I know them? Which is, not a good way to go through life.
Yeah, I just feel like it's one of those things where it's a big ask. I feel like it's like, telling someone you want them to do something, but then they should figure it out on their own and they should do it to make you feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't have pictures of you and random other opposite sex. But at the same time, it's I don't know. It's not really your place to ask, but if they were being a good significant other, they also wouldn't do things that make you feel insecure in the first place.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. Pretty clear to me is that Michael is a really thirsty social media person who I'm sure follows a bunch of randos just to get follow backs so his follower count can go up. That seems like the kind of person that he is.
I don't know if we're even following him on Instagram. I don't think I found him easily. I'll have to look.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would accept us. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't even know who you all tried to follow. I get.
Just whoever.
Yeah, I'm sure it was all every cast member you could find. Sure. But
yeah, because it is good to kind of keep up with what they're all posting. Mm-hmm. And then a bunch of meme accounts because that's always fun.
Right. Right.
Yes, it is fun. So I can enjoy our Instagram experience. Yeah. So why don't we do Rebecca Zied?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because there was a lot with them. So Zied finally says he believes Rebecca about the divorce.
Right.
And then he proposes.
Right. As Erban, he considers divorce already.
Oh, gosh,
Already
yes.
divorced.
I would say this was probably a step up of Benjamin and Akinyi's proposal, but it was pretty far down there in the whole...
It's pretty down. Especially since you went straight for the chocolate and did not see the ring.
Yeah.
Just went right in.
Not because that...
It's like,
Not because that wasn't cute. I mean, there were definitely worse things he could have done. But I think it's like all the other outside things. Like she had to take off a bunch of rings to put that ring on. It's like, why are you wearing a bunch of rings on that finger to begin with? It makes it seem like that ring isn't special, you know?
Yeah,
it's
right.
Like if you're already wearing rings on that finger. And then just the stuff they say is just so ridiculous. Like, I understand they think it's like romantic and the thing that they should say, but saying like, you're so perfect, this is the proposal every girl dreams of.
It's not
Really?
very much not. It's very much not. You do not.
Really?
Not everybody thinks about the ring in a chocolate dish next to a weird desert sex tent. I don't know what that was. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I could
Soon you will see my face all your life.
Look at me. You see
in your
you see
house,
something?
in your room, in your bathroom, in your car. You will never be rid of me.
Yeah.
That's perfect. All right.
Right. It's like those people who play Every Breath You Take at their wedding. And be like, are you listening to the words of the song?
You're like, this is a stalker song. I'm pretty
Right.
sure this is the stalker anthem.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we did find out that he actually did not spend her money on the ring because his
I
sister...
don't think that was what happened at all. That wasn't my interpretation.
I believe that his sister, knowing what we've seen of our show, has enough sense that talked him out and was like, you cannot spend her money on her wedding ring, on her engagement ring. I will lend you money.
But then he never gave her the money back.
Right. I think, well, okay, so when I looked at it again, and this is something I had noticed, she gave him a card. She gave him plastic. She didn't give him cash.
Oh, really?
At least when they like recapped it and, you know, he was like, he mentioned it, and so they showed the scene again. She took out a card.
I'm going to have to rewatch that because I remember he was grabbing things out of her hand.
Right.
It looked like he was grabbing a bunch of bills. Yeah, I'm going to have to rewatch that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Some investigation's going to have to happen because my interpretation of that whole exchange was that he was lying to her and saying that, you know, that he spent his sister's money, not her money.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, great. Another lie we all have to keep track of now.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get to the tell-all, I wish you finished your divorce. You are mine now.
Oh, God. She says she'll miss his voice, and I'm just like, what is wrong with you? You're going to miss... Does it go along with all the creepy stuff he says? I don't know.
Right. Oh,
you should just record his voice and just like play it while you're going to sleep every night.
So much sad.
That's the stuff dreams are made of.
You know what though? We make fun of his voice. I'm pretty sure he's cleaning up on Cameo. Like I think he's a hot commodity.
Oh my gosh. But I think only because his English is so terrible. I don't think it has anything to do with his voice.
No.
I think it has to do with his awful English.
People just
and
wanted
it's
to
easy
say
to
so
laugh
much.
at it.
So much. So much.
Yeah. So at the tell-all, Rebecca says, you know, she's nervous for Zied because she says that she's the only one he can understand. And it's like, I don't really think he understands you very well either.
So why didn't he have a translator? Because one of the other ones, somebody did have a translator. Jihoon had a translator.
It was Jihoon. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he didn't think he needed one. Well, we'll kind of see because they don't have their segments really until the tell-all tonight.
Right. So was he looking a little bit thinner too? I feel like he was.
Okay, so that's funny that you should say that because I wrote in my notes, Zied looks like he needs a bra.
Okay, well, when you were previously fat and you lose weight, like there's still sagging issues there.
Okay, okay. Well, I think it was hard to tell from the angle.
Right.
He definitely looked like he's grown out his hair.
Yes.
And it also looked like he washed it, maybe styled it a little bit. It looked like he took a straightener to it, so something was done.
The effort was made.
Yes, effort was made, exactly. Tim and Jennifer.
Oh, right. I don't think I wrote. We didn't have anything. They were just kind of
yes,
there,
because
right?
they were only on the tell-all.
Right.
Yes. So he says that Jennifer throws away the ring whenever she gets mad.
They fight all the time over the phone.
Yes, things have slowed down. And then she says that he's delicate, and she likes athletic men.
Delicate is right. that's a pretty...
That's fair.
With the language barrier, delicate pretty much works. I like how
Right.
I like how Jennifer tries to play everything off by, in Spanish, that's not that big of an insult. That I called him a freak,
right.
and I called you a pussy. Like, it's not that big
Right.
of a deal in Spanish.
Right. Okay, so at one point, they start talking about Rebecca and Zied wearing the shirt with Rebecca's face on it.
Right.
And so then they turn to Tim and Jennifer and ask what Jennifer would do if Tim did that. And then she says that she would call Tim a freak. So all of a sudden, Rebecca gets all kinds of upset, thinking that Jennifer is calling Zied a freak. And yeah, she is, but in a more indirect way. And I don't think it's him as a person so much as the act of wearing the shirt with your face on it. And so then Tim is trying to defend her, saying, well, it means something different in Spanish, and that's not how she means it. So he's kind of using that same excuse to defend Jennifer.
I totally saw it as a know your audience thing. Like, Rebecca really liked it, and so it was a good move. And if you did that for Jennifer, it would have been the wrong move.
Yeah, true.
So it's all
like,
good.
What's wrong with you? Yeah. But that was really all that was going on with Tim and Jennifer. Not a whole lot since they had already said goodbye.
Right. Yep. That's about it.
Okay. So then we have Ben and Akinyi.
Ben and Akinyi, who still cannot pronounce his wife's name correctly.
No. He's so many things wrong with Ben.
Oh,
But he does finally tell his family over text just to make Akinyi happy.
Text.
Well, I mean, time difference.
I guess,
yeah.
but you'd think you would do the fight and be like, listen, the time is different. I don't want to tell them over text. I will call them at this time, and you can sit here and watch me do it. Would easily end up.
Why don't we video chat with them?
Right, together.
Yeah.
We'll tell them together, or maybe not together. Whatever you want. But I'm not gonna have them, because if it's a time difference that's the issue, that means they're going to wake up in the morning with a text that's like, "I'm married." Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So I'm just confused about how she really feels about him. Because she does seem genuinely upset that he's gonna be leaving. She's like crying about it. But then, like I mentioned last week, it just seems like she's just so annoyed with him, giving him side eye, just like rolling her eyes at him. And then even at the tell-all, like she's made a couple digs at him. She basically said he was fat and said he smelled.
He smelled, and it was like, because he was like, "Oh, I freshened up at the airport," and she was like, "I didn't know you did that."
Did you?
You didn't sound like you did.
Are you sure? Yeah, it didn't seem like it at all. So, but I don't know. I feel for her a little bit that Ben, he does look like he's gaining weight. He definitely looks a lot rounder.
He was, but she even said when they met, it was like
she thought he was smaller.
She thought he was going to be smaller than he was, right?
Oh, yeah. Maybe because he was using outdated pictures.
Right. Because he said something about like, there was another time when I looked a little bit more trim, and she was like, could we go back to that time?
Yeah. But I definitely felt like he looked like he had more of a gut, or maybe it just seemed like, I don't know, maybe he just wasn't wearing the right kinds of clothes.
A little of both.
But it just seems like if you're really that into someone, that you wouldn't be insulting them on national television.
Right.
So, I don't know. But in the eyes of God, they're married.
In the eyes of God. In the eyes of God, because they had a non-legal, non-religious ceremony. A non-legal, non-religious handshake agreement. It wasn't even a ceremony. And he was
Yeah.
like, now the eyes of God. Like,
Yeah. But that was important. Yeah, but that was important because otherwise he wouldn't be able to sleep with her.
right.
And feel good about himself in the church family. I just can't picture him being a pastor. I
No.
don't know what it is.
No, I mean, he's so timid. I can't, like, yeah, I don't, she just doesn't seem like a forceful person who can provide like leadership and guidance. He's just so, I guess. Oh. Like, you can't be that and be the people come to you for strength, you know?
Well, yeah, and I think like to be a role model, I guess, or at least a pillar of your community, and he does not seem like any of those things.
Right. Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. So it is, at least with the regular episodes, I know we're still looking at our tell-all, but we basically have a graduating class of couples. So we thought that we would put together some senior superlatives for our graduating class. And we haven't discussed, Mr. O and I have not discussed who we picked for all of these categories. So I'm actually really interested to see if we agreed and how many we actually agreed on.
Yeah.
Like if we agreed. Yeah. I think some of them, it really could have gone either way because there are a couple of them that I thought, I had a harder time picking between the two, but it'll be interesting.
Yes.
So we'll go through those before we do our life lessons.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. So first one I have up here is cutest couple.
All right. I went with Avery Nomar.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So I thought for sure you would pick Jihoon and Devin. So I picked Jihoon and Devin. And the reason why is because I thought they were the cutest looking couple.
Yes.
And especially with their wedding, their traditional Korean wedding. And they're good looking people too.
I mean, I like Avery Nomar just because it seemed like the ones of all the couples, they seem like the ones who are actually the most into each other.
That's true. And that's actually why I picked them for the next category, most likely to succeed. This one was a tough one because I kind of felt like they all are not like a home run. Like no one is like for sure going to make it, or I have like, 100% confidence or even 90% confidence that, they're going to make it. But I would say out of all the couples, I thought Omar and Avery most likely to succeed.
Yeah. So I went, we went backwards. I went Jihoon and Devin most likely to succeed. And again, I'm with you, not because I think they're actually very likely to succeed. I thought there's a low probability of success for all of these couples. But
right.
The deciding factor, it's just they have a kid, which kind of makes it, a little more imperative of work. And there's others of kids, but they also are capable of living together. They can live in the same country.
Also true. Yeah.
So that's what did it for me. All right. So the next one we have is Class Clown.
Ben, you know how I feel about him. So many things, especially when he looks like a clown half the time.
He does.
Yeah.
All right,
the things he does too.
I went with Zied just because we always make fun of him. He's always laughable, and
he does. He has a lot of quotes.
He has a lot of quotes, and he did that thing where he got on that thing with the cigarette onto the back of the thing, and that made me laugh more than anything else all year.
Your favorite scene.
My favorite scene.
Your favorite scene of all time. True. All right. Most likely to be back for another season.
So this is the couple one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Couple.
With a couple. All right. So I changed this one last minute because they're going to bring back Caesar and Maria.
Oh, God.
Just because we didn't get their full story. Like, there's going to be more to that.
I thought we had agreed not to put Caesar for anyone.
I know. I was going to. Then Maria showed up.
Yeah. But I don't know. It seems pretty obvious that she's not into it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sharp went and gave her the money directly and said, we will pay you to be on the show.
Well, I'm sure that she got the money directly this time because it looks like they did their taping in Ukraine. And so I don't know if we discussed this, but if they are actually in another country, that person can actually be paid. Actually, I think this is something that I just found out like fairly recently, because I think we've talked about the partner having to pay through them, but it ends up that if they're filming in America, only the American can be paid. But if they're filming in another country, the citizen of that country can actually get paid. So if they flew out to Maria actually got paid directly for taping.
Right. And so then I think, I don't know, I think they would just like a season where Maria comes to the States and just cheats on Caesar repeatedly.
Oh, God. Yeah, I think she'd be down for that.
Right.
Okay. So my most likely to be back is Paul and Carini. And the reason why I say that is because how many seasons have they been on?
Right.
Paul cannot get a job with anything else. They clearly seem to need the money because Carini's like begging for money elsewhere. So I feel like this is a couple that you will either see on Pillow Talk or they're going to be on another season of something, whether it's Happily Ever After or I don't think they'd be on The Other Way Again because I think it's more common knowledge that they're in the United States now.
Right. And now I don't see him on Pillow Talk because Carini's English is not good enough.
She's working on it, but
Well, it
I don't
depends.
know.
She might get
Maybe.
better.
I
She
mean,
might
they
get
do
better.
cameos, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. So
Okay.
most likely to be back. That's just one person with a new partner.
With a new partner, sure. It's actually funny, my pick for it, because this was before I found out, but I said Rebecca. And the reason why I picked her is because she seems to have a thing for foreign guys and doesn't seem to mind to, just trade them in,
Right.
it looks like.
Right. You're a
But,
model.
yeah, I know, right?
She's looking for that Porsche 911 self-drive.
Yeah. But it looks like her and Ziad are still together.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know. That was actually a little surprising to me. I did not think they were going to make it.
So I went with, again, so you went with Paul and Carini last time because they're desperate and clearly need the money. And so I went with Laura because she's desperate and clearly needs the money.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. All right. Best dressed.
This was a gimme, right?
Yeah.
It's Jennifer.
Wait, maybe. Did we see eye to eye on
It's
it?
Jennifer.
Yes, I put that too. Yeah, except for when she's modeling.
Right.
Weirdly
Jennifer's
enough.
regular clothes.
Then
The
when she's
dresses-
trying to be a model.
The dresses with the
Yeah.
sneakers. That's where we're at.
Oh, yeah. But when she was modeling, there were some bizarre fashion choices. But I mean, those were not her
Those not
fashion
her choices.
I'm
right.
sure.
Exactly. I mean, those sunglasses
Yeah.
were a little iffy sometimes, but I mean,
I feel like those are coming back, but I
It
don't
was-
know. I
come on.
grudgingly recognize them as a fashion trend.
whatever the flaws were, everybody else was just so much lower.
Oh, yeah. That was like our biggest complaint this season, I feel
Right.
like.
So getting
Which
to
makes
that,
worst dressed
right?
interesting contender.
All right, so I went with Darcy because not because she actually has the worst clothes, because she probably doesn't, but she has the worst clothes despite trying the hardest. Like Benjamin doesn't try, so I'm not gonna like hold that against him. Like he clearly doesn't go for it.
So that's funny that you should say Darcy because my worst dress was Tom. They're like a match made in heaven. Because
Right.
I cannot get over Tom's dumb outfit of all the 3 patterns, plaid, polka dots, and paisley. I just could not get over that.
Yeah, but
it's the worst.
At least Tom's clothes fit.
Do they? I don't know. And he has like dad jeans on half the
Okay.
time. I
All
don't
right.
really
I didn't think
even
about the jeans.
know what's
I could
going
think
on
of-
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, his jeans are pretty awful. All right, most gullible.
All right. I went with Jenny.
I did too.
Okay, good. Good.
Because she seems to believe all his lies.
Everything he says, she believes it. Like,
Yeah, I don't think that's much for debate or conversation about that one.
no, that's pretty much it. Yeah. There was, and the next one, the most likely to ignore the red flags, had a lot
did
of.
we see eye to eye on this one?
I don't know. There were a lot of choices. Let's be frank.
Yes.
All right, what did you go with?
I went with Tiffany.
I went with Corey.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I went with Tiffany because I felt like, she went into this knowing that he was an addict. I mean, this is not new news. She picked him up from the rehab center, and then proceeds to get married like 3 days later. Her son is telling her in so many words that he doesn't like it there.
Right.
You know, without having to actually say it. And then now she's complaining about, you know, being stuck in this difficult marriage. Girl, you knew that this was not going to be an easy road.
Right. And I definitely go with the Daniel stuff too, because she kept saying, I'm not going to do this if he's not happy. And he's more or less saying, I'm not happy. Right. I don't want to stay here.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, if he doesn't.
But because he doesn't say those words.
Right.
Instead, he says things like, it doesn't feel safe, you know? And she's like, oh, well, it doesn't mean he's not happy.
Right.
It just means he doesn't feel safe. That's kind of the same thing to a kid.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I went with Corey just because like I felt like Evelyn spent the entire back half of the season like waving a red flag at his face.
Yep.
Being like, I have a red flag. This is the way I'm going to keep waving this in front of your face. And he was like, maybe it'll work.
Maybe she'll want to get married.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she said multiple times.
Right.
That was not in the cards for her. Okay. And then the last one we have is biggest transformation.
Okay. So I thought really hard because at least in my school, we do the biggest transformation. We call it the glow up. And that's somebody who gets better over the course of a year. And
that's interesting. I did not interpret it that way.
I thought a long time about who I got a better opinion of as the season went on. And then I was like, well, let me rethink this because that's nobody. And so I went, okay, whose opinion of mine went down the most over the course of the year?
Yes.
And that was Sumit.
Okay. That's funny that you started off that way because I was like, that is not how I interpreted this. You know, like I was like, who got better? I was like, maybe I could see Devin a little bit because, you know, like at the beginning when they were showing her being kind of like a not so great mom, and then I had a better opinion of her a little bit later. But I would say that for me, my actual pick for biggest transformation was kind of like Laura and Aladdin. Like where they were at the beginning of the season versus where they were at the tell-all was just so vastly different. Like I really truly believed that Aladdin loved her at the very beginning, and she seemed to like just be genuinely appreciative of him. And then just like through the season, like who knew that she would turn out to be such a psycho liar? Like
so off the walls.
All those things. So I mean, to me, that was kind of the biggest transformation. All right. Well, that was fun. Do you have a life lesson for the week?
So my life lesson is, and we've touched on this before. I'm the head of the technology education department.
Yep.
Get your remotes right, man. Like if you're gonna put something on TV, if you're gonna put your name on something, like do better than cracked up Skype call, man. Like this is a professional organization here.
It's funny that you should say that because of my life lesson. It's don't be all judgmental and act morally superior when you have dirty laundry hanging out there for all to see what a train wreck you are.
Right.
And the reason why I think that's kind of funny, kind of going along, is like we're judging like the production, right? How long did it take for us to get our crap together with, you know, this podcast production? But on the one hand, we're not putting our names out there. We're very anonymous, right?
We're specifically not putting our names on this. Exactly.
I know, right? Yeah, so don't try to find us. But do follow us on Instagram.
Yes. And rate us on iTunes.
Yes. Well, this has been a fun week. So next time we'll have, so much to cover then.
I don't know. Maybe not, because I think the tell-all is going to be 20 minutes of material, but it takes 3 hours to disseminate. But
yeah,
we're going to have episode 1.
I know, which I'm so excited about.
I know. It looks really good. Guys, she's not a prostitute. I'm sold on this story already. Because whenever you have to say that out loud.
You're saying she is a prostitute?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, until next week then.
Okay. All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.